Konnichiwa Disc Golf fans, and welcome back to Disc Channel's coverage of the lead card MPO Round 3 Back 9 of the Kiyosatonomori Open here in gorgeous Yamanashi, Japan. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors for making both the tournament and coverage possible. My name is Rob Rowland, Innova Ambassador, and I will be talking you through the final 9 holes in this third round. After 9 holes, your tournament's leaders in MPO, tied up at 12 under, are Tetsuya T2 Kikuchi and Kazumasa Fujiwara. Just under them in our lead card are Somiura and Kenta Nagaoka, both tied at 10 under. There has been some movement on the second card. We'll see if our lead card players can maintain a lead over the field. Hole 10, par 3, 266 feet, 81 meter. Downhill forehand shot skipping around this tree to the left. There is a mandatory left in this tree. This tree is being used both as a mandatory on a hole 10 and on a hole 11. So a little bit confusing from the camera, but the forehand hyzer line is the line here. Players must pass around the tree to the left as Kazumasa steps into a beautiful straight to fade forehand that skips to the edge of circle 1 or just beyond for his birdie chance. Kenta Nagaoka also lining up the forehand line. Higher and wider than Kazumasa's line, which allows his hyzer to dig a bit closer to the basket. Very nice drive. He'll also have a birdie putt. So Miura is electing for the standstill forehand. So has a very low forehand release, which is good on a downhill hole. Let's see if he can use it to his advantage. That looks good.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he gets a bit of angle on that hill and flare skips into circle 2, but he will have a birdie putt. Tetsuya T2 Kikuchi. T2 also lining up the standstill forehand. T2 has a baseball background and has the most effortless forehand throw. Zero stress on that elbow. Great result. He's in circle 1 for his birdie putt. Very windy conditions here in the mountains. So with a circle 2 look, slight right to left headwind, perhaps? Just right of the basket. He was probably expecting a bit more help from the wind there, but he'll be able to clean up his par. The mandatory line is directly behind the basket. Players have to be careful not to overshoot on their putts. Kazumasa gets a friendly skip off the top of the basket. He stays safe. Kenta Nagaoka for his birdie. Just low. T2 taking his time lighting up his birdie putt, our party's last chance at birdie. Taking his full 30 seconds and making good use of it as T2 gets the first birdie of our back 9. Hole 10. Played just over par at 0.09 strokes over par. T2 was our only birdie on the day, 73% par and 18% bogey as our other players tap out their pars. After 10 holes, your standalone tournament leader at 13 under is T2. Kazumasa with his par stays at 12 under, and Somiura and Kenta Nagaoka at 10 under. Moving into hole 11, par 3, 367 foot, 112-meter, another downhill shot. We're going to be using the opposite side of the mandatory tree from hole 10 here, going down towards the lake, out of bounds by the lake, clearly marked with those yellow flags. No out of bounds to the right. You want to avoid the water, but try to get as close as possible. Beyond that tree line to the left of the basket as the camera looks right now, there's a bit of a drop off. Players kind of want to be as close to that or to the left as possible. T2, that disc rides the wind far right. He seems surprised at the reaction. We'll see where he ended up once the camera gets down there. See if Kazumasa can learn from his wind read. Throws it directly at the water. Just the right amount of turn. And that might be in circle 1. He could have some trees in the way, but he is safe and has a birdie chance. Kenta throws something a bit too flippy into the wind and is going to be off to the right near T2, I would guess. Hopefully one or both of them hit a tree and kept them close to the basket. So also throws a flip up hyzer. This looks like it has just the right amount of turn on it as well. He will also have a birdie look, hopefully, as long as there aren't any trees in the way. T2 with a very tricky shot. This looks like it has hit early. Kenta with a straight look uphill at the basket. Some decent touch there, but he still has about 6 or 7 meters for his cleanup. T2 with a long circle 2 look here. Right to left wind, carries the disc away from the basket. Looks like he'll be getting bogey. Kazumasa has a look at the basket, but I don't think he has the ability to run it, given that the water is right behind the basket. Turfs it a bit into the hill. He'll have a bit of a tester for his par putt. So, with a nice jumper that stays safe. So has to pick up a couple of strokes. We do have another round following the third round. We have some finals, some championships coming up, so he does have a little bit of time to catch up as Kazumasa misses left on his par bid. So players don't need to be that anxious, but birdies are hard to come by on this course. Or rather, score separation is difficult on this course, so you want to try to get every birdie that you can. Kenta hits the front of the basket again as T2 cleans up his bogey. So takes his meter off of the water. And cleans up his par. As Kenta taps in his bogey, along with Kazumasa. Hole 11 played .73 strokes over par, almost a full stroke over par with 0 birdies, 36% par, 55% bogey, and 9% one player with double bogey or worse. Through 11, regardless of the bogey, T2 is still your tournament leader at 12 under. As we look at hole 12, par 3, 325 foot, 99 meter shot over the water, slightly downhill. The water is the only danger that players need to worry about here. With the wind today, the hyzer is the shot to go for, but there is so much brush just to the right side of the basket that it's really a crapshoot whether or not the disc ends up close to the pin. We'll see what our players can accomplish as Somira appears to be lining up that hyzer line. He's popped it up. Seems a bit disappointed with himself. Does it have the carry? It carries the water just fine. He should have a clear shot at the basket, but a very long look for his birdie. Let's look at those gorgeous mountains in the background. T2 also with a wide hyzer. It looks a bit too wide. And he is going to end up in the brush. Deep circle 2, maybe circle 3 away from the basket. I doubt he will have a look. Speaking of mountains, as Kazumasa lines up his shot, Yamanashi has more mountainous land than flat land. Very few valleys as well, so fruit rather than rice is their major domestic product. As Kazumasa gets down somewhere in deep circle 1 or circle 2 for his par putt. Yamanashi Prefecture is the #1 producer of blueberries, peaches, plums, and grapes. Very nice shot from Kenta Nagaoka. He appears to be our only good birdie bid on this card. You can see the pin flag fluttering on the left side of the screen here as T2 makes a good bid. Ooh. And that settles down close to the basket. He should be able to clean up his par with no problem. So has an edge of circle 2 look maybe for his birdie. Elects to lay up to the base of the pin. Kazumasa, too close to the brush for a traditional putt, is going for the turbo putt. A good angle on it, it's the right idea, but he'll be able to clean up his par with no problem. As Kenta Nagaoka is our final chance at birdie here on our lead card. Very nice putt, straight into the heart of the basket. Low is the name of the game on windy days. I'm glad he could make it work out for him on hole 12. Very nice birdie putt from Kenta. Hole 12 played .09 strokes over par, almost exactly to par. We saw the only birdie in the MPO field. There were 73% pars and 18% bogeys. T2 cleans up his par. I wonder how long these disc catcher pros have been in the ground. A well-loved course, to be sure. Through 12 holes, your tournament leader is T2 at 12 under, Kazumasa Fujiwara nipping at his heels at 11 under, and Somiura Kenta Nagaoka at 10 under, just behind him. As we move on to hole 13, par 3, 148 foot, 45 meter. A short guy, there's OB that runs all along the right side up to this river that we are crossing, and a guarded green. Slight uphill, and a bit of luck perhaps to get onto the green, but we'll see if our players can make good on their standstills here. Kenta with a very nice line that puts on the brakes in circle 1. That should be good for birdie. Very nice drive.
Yeah, nice up there.
So lining up the forehand, he likes to do a chop forehand flex whenever possible. Doesn't quite get the angle right. I believe that's an AVR3 that he is throwing. Not quite enough stability to come back, but it's a short enough hole that he should have a look at birdie. T2, the mid-range. Much more predictable in the wind, regardless of how short the hole is. Which he has turfed, but it scoots up nicely. That's probably just inside or at the edge of circle 1. Kazumasa with a higher line that hits one of the guardians and scoots off into the brush to the left, just short of the basket. As we see Somiura, it took me a minute to figure out who it was, Somiura lining up his birdie putt. He usually throws a shovel putt from his hip, so this is not as awkward for him as it may look. A very good bid for birdie, just misses to the right. Should be able to clean up his par. T2 from a similar spot, not quite as deep in the brush. trying to shore up his footing. A very nice birdie putt. At only 45 meters, this can kind of feel like a birdie or die type of hole. Shorting the drive never feels good, but hitting a long putt always feels good. Kazumasa got a little bit further than T2 and so, but cannot convert on his birdie putt. Sit down. Looks like the rest of our players will clean up their pars. Hole 13 played 0.55 strokes under par with 55% of the field birdieing it, 45% pars, and nothing worse than par. So a friendly hole for the field. Definitely a must birdie hole. As we take another look at T2's beautiful putt that put him at 13 under, 1 under for the round. Your tournament leader in MPO. Kazumasa and Kenta at 11 under behind him. And Somiura at 10 under behind him. Hole 14, par 3, 246 foot, 75 meter shot. There is a mandatory right just short of the basket. The backhand hyzer line is the play here. There are several fairways that sort of creep up onto this fairway. I think that Kent is going to find one of them. He's found a bundled basket that is not being used for the tournament, but I believe that he is sitting in hole 7's fairway, just to give you an idea of how cramped this property is. The skipping hyzer is the line, but there is a low entranceway to the alley that leads up to the mandatory. It makes it very difficult to get the angle right. For most people, I suppose, T2 makes short work of it, scoots towards the basket. He will have a putt for his birdie. So is lining up a similar shot here. With similar results. He scoots around the mandatory and deep at the basket, but on the green for his birdie putt.
Wow!
Kazumasa wide and absolutely sticks the unused pin, which is unfortunate, but he should have a clear look to approach for his par, much like Kenta here. Little trick of the camera, that large mature tree is not right next to the basket. There is a good 5 meters beyond it, so Kenta will have a bit of a tester to clean up his par. Kazumasa cannot convert for birdie, but will have no problem with par. T2 with a circle 2 look for his birdie. A very nice stepper, right on line, but just a bit low. So for his birdie putt, and he makes good from deep. That was a very nice conversion for So. A lone birdie on the card. Kenta makes good on his par save, as our other two players clean up their pars here on hole 14. Hole 14 played exactly par. Played exactly to par with 18% of the field birdieing, 64% par, and 18% bogeying. Not a whole lot of movement on the leaderboard here. T2, still your tournament leader at 13 under, with So, Kazumasa, and Kenta at 11 under.
ディスクゴルフ大学。皆さんもディスクゴルフ大学はご存知ですか？ディスクゴルフ大学では毎週ですね、ディスクゴルフに関わる最新の情報を配信しているとともに、皆さんが集まって皆さんで盛り上げるコミュニティ場所を準備してます。ぜひ遊びに来てください。
興味のある方お待ちしてます。
Hole 15, par 3, 272 foot, 83 meter. Uphill shot here. These yellow flags are not out of bounds for our players. They have to get up onto the top of this flat plateau and close enough to the basket for a birdie putt. This is a tailwind that the players are contending with here. There is a mandatory at the top of the hill. There's a tree that the players must stay to the left of, so they cannot go for a towering hyzer. Backhand hyzer, that is. The forehand hyzer is in play, but so's low release unfortunately finds an early bush. He will have a long scramble to save his par. Kenta going for the turnover line. Very difficult to get the height that far up the hill. He looks like he's about 13 meters away for his birdie look. T2 throws a straight or understable fairway driver that makes its way nicely up the hill and is about 4 meters from the basket, just outside the bullseye. Kazumasa, our forehand specialist, I'm sure is chomping at the bit to throw this forehand hyzer. Doesn't quite crest the hill, but he will have a long look for his birdie. So trying to get a wind read here. He has almost a re-tee in distance. It appears to be going to a standstill forehand. You can see the mandatory tree on the right side of the screen there. This looks to be wide left. Don't go down the hill. He gets a very friendly roll. Gives him an attempt at the par save. Big smiles for the camera. He knows exactly how lucky he was. Kenta with a right to left tailwind for his birdie attempt. A safe bid puts him right under the basket. He will tap out a par. Kazumasa, friendly assist from the flag there. He's lucky that didn't carry too far. He will have an easy tap out for his par. So with a tester for his par save here, and that will help his scramble percentage for sure. Very nice par cleanup for So Miura. As T2 steps up for the lone attempt remaining for birdie for our lead card. The teammates get on. Excellent. Well, we've seen our courses surrounded by mountains, and I've spoken several times about how Yamanashi is a mountainous prefecture, but the most famous mountain in Japan, Mount Fuji, is also in Yamanashi. Mount Fuji acts as a wonderful filter for rain and snow melts, and its rich mineral waters were the first bottled and sold mineral waters in Japan. How about that? T2, your tournament leader, through 15 at 14 under, with our other three players at 11 under, trying to chase him down. Hole 16, par 3, 322 foot, 98 meter. All man-made structures are out of bounds, so these paths and stairs are all out of bounds here on hole 16. There is an OB line that is to the right of the tee that should not come too much into play. There is OB deep of the basket that wraps around from left to right. The biggest risk here is not getting enough distance to clear the paths and the stairway. Throwing straight, it's a bit uphill to the pin with trees in the way. Looks like the wind is beating this down and it does not clear their stairs. If he was lucky, he hit on the inbound side of the stairs before he landed on the stairs, and will have some kind of look at the pin to try to save his bogey. So with a low release on that forehand shot that catches an early tree and slides onto the path, he will be OB. So gets very tired of my jokes playing with him. I always say, somebody else will mow the lawn for you. You don't need to cut the grass. And he always humors me with a smile. As Kenta has popped something up, which was carried by the wind somewhere, but I see no OB graphic, so he should have a scramble for his par. Kazumasa with an overstable distance driver that has very good height and length and width and landing. He is in circle 1 for his birdie putt. So snuggles up to the OB line here with a standstill shovel forehand approach to the green. Very good from where he was, completely blind. Deep circle 1, but he does have a chance to save his bogey here. T2 did hit on the inbound side, opposite side of the stairs. Makes a good run at the basket from where he was, but cannot convert on the long throw-in. Back to So on the green here. Ripping headwind. Gotta watch out for that OB deep of the basket, but he appears to have come to rest short of it. He should be able to clean up his double bogey, no problem. Kazumasa hitting the long putt for birdie, taking a stroke or two on the entire card. Very happy with himself. Well done, sir. Kenta just low on his par cleanup attempt. Looking very frustrated. T2 not quite as close as I thought he would be for his bogey attempt, which he cleans up nicely. As So taps in his double bogey. And Kenta taps in his bogey as well. Hole 16 was a challenging hole, playing .73 strokes over par, just as difficult as hole 11 was. We saw the lone birdie in the field, 36% par, 36% bogey, and 18% double bogey or worse. It was certainly a challenging hole. Through 16, Kazumasa has gained a stroke, and look out, he's only one stroke behind T2. From the top of the world here, hole 17, par 3, 302 foot, 92 meter. Shot down over everything that we have seen so far. There is OB along the left side of the fairway. Of course, all man-made structures are OB as well. The OB, those yellow flags are an OB line. Those red flags are an OB line. The basket is tucked into a corner, careless OB, and short, skippy, mossy ground on all sides. This is certainly a challenging shot, especially from up high. Kazumasa with the box throws a hyzer line that is short of the basket but safe. T2 with a chance to get that stroke back. Those 2 strokes maybe that he lost on the last hole. A bit closer to the basket, but by no means a gimme. Edge of circle 1 or just beyond for his birdie putt. Kenta, very similar line to our first 2 gentlemen. A bit more oomph on it than Kazumasa, and he nestles between T2 and Kazumasa. So with a bit wider line and a bit more stable of a disc, will also come up short. All 4 players outside of circle 1, looking at the basket with OB right behind. So with the stepper, he seems disappointed, probably trying to make it, but it's a nice layup nonetheless, as long as it didn't scoot too far past the basket. Kazumasa has hit metal on almost every single putt this round. He's feeling dialed in. Gave it a safe bid, more hyzer than he usually gives it, hoping to keep it short of that OB. He should be able to clean up a par with no problem. Kenta off the top of the basket. A friendly roll back towards the basket and away from OB. Looks like T2 may be just inside circle 1. That little tassel, I believe, marks the edge of circle 1. As T2 converts on his birdie, the lone birdie on our card. Kenta with a little bit of a tester on his comeback. No problem for him as he cleans up his par. Kazumasa has a little bit of a nail biter here, which is no problem for him. And so will also tap out his par. Hole 17. Played .18 strokes under par, 27% of the field birdied at 64% par and 9% bogey or worse. Yamanashi is famous not only for its produce but also for its beef. The Koshu wine beef is the delicacy beef out of the prefecture. The cattle are fed on the solids produced in wine production, the polyphenol and enzymes in their feed. It makes for healthy and happy cows and naturally delicious beef. Hole 18, our final hole, is a par 3, 151 foot, 46 meter, tricky little shot down the side of a building. The path on both sides of the basket is OB. There is a straight low backhand shot at the basket, which is in the center of your screen now, that T2 is showing us. You have to get lucky to get through those guardians. The only unimpeded shot to the basket is this low forehand line that takes you OB almost the whole way.
Okay.
Kazumasa on the dance floor, but with OB so close behind the basket, it is, well, there is no OB if you make the putt. I guess that's the kind of attitude you need to have on holes like this. Kenta lining up his backhand line. a bit straighter than he would have liked. Looks like he'll be just outside circle 1 and will likely have to lay up. So also lining up this standstill forehand line. Skips nicely off the path and does not put on the brakes early enough. After taking his meter, he could basically dunk his par. So that's a guaranteed par. T2 giving him a high five for a well-executed forehand. Sometimes you just don't get the luck as T2 lays up under the basket. He wants none of the OB behind the basket there. Playing some smart veteran golf. T2, a 20-plus year veteran of Japanese disc golf. T2 and So participate in tournaments overseas frequently. T2 did frequently, doesn't so much anymore. But T2 he's played in USDGC in the European Open as Kazumasa cleans up his birdie on hole 18. And So has played in Masters Worlds and a variety of other international tournaments as well. So is probably the most active player on the Japanese tour. And just a lapse in concentration, perhaps, has him tapping out his bogey with a missed putt from the bullseye. This brings round 3 to a close. Thank you so much for staying until the end. We always love to have you. And thank you very much to the Disc Channel Founders Club. Your contributions allow us to get our cameras on these players tournament after tournament. If you're interested in joining the Founders Club, please look us up here on YouTube to become a subscriber. Subscribing to our channel will allow us to keep doing what we do. If you like what you see, please consider becoming a subscriber. Thank you so much for joining me in round 3. This is Rob Rowland, and I'll see you all next time.